Minsan, yung buhay na pilit nating tinatakasan sa dulot dulo, yun din yung namimiss natin at gustong balikan. For a long time, moving toward Metro Manila felt like the obvious choice because that's where the opportunities are. But the moment remote work became stable enough, places like this started to make a lot more sense. Compared to Metro Manila, the first thing you notice in Bayombong is how much calm everything feels.
Ano namin?
Traffic barely builds up, and people don't seem constantly rushed. The center of town is the provincial capital plaza. By late afternoon, almost everybody ends up there. Students, families, joggers. This is basically their version of a mall, but this one has a sense of community to it. One thing that usually stops people from staying longer in places like this is the fear that work won't function properly. Here in Bayombong, that's not an issue. I've worked here through power outages and still managed to get through the day. This villa is one of the more peaceful places I've worked from in the Philippines. But what surprised me most wasn't even the view. It was the fact that the connection here was even better than when we stayed at a hotel in the center of town. So now that more places in the province can actually support remote work, instead of waking up in an urban jungle, you can wake up to this. I also spent time working from other places around Bayombong. One was an older hotel right in the middle of town. The other was this heritage house that's apparently about to be demolished. Together, they kind of reflect an older version of provincial life. One that a lot of city people seem to be looking for now. And ironically, one that many locals still leave behind, searching for better opportunities elsewhere. But old as these places are, they still worked. The internet held up, the work got done, and that made the town feel even more inviting.
Alright, it's 7:08 p.m. We are here in Bayombong, Nueva Vizcaya. There's not much to do here, so I'm just talking to you guys, I guess.
This was probably the biggest adjustment. In bigger cities, people constantly look for stimulation and distraction. Places stay open late. Everything feels louder. There's always something happening. But here, the town kind of teaches you to slow down instead. After a few days here, you start adjusting to the quieter pace. The food is great, no overpricing. Even the tricycle riders do not overcharge. The days here feel simpler. People stay outside longer. Life feels less rushed. And maybe that's why places like this are starting to feel more appealing again. Not because everything is exciting, not because everything is modern, but because life here still feels manageable. And lately, that feels harder to find.